Your LLC is costing you millions of dollars in funding. Look, I know that sounds dramatic, but stick with me for the next few minutes because I'm going to show you how you could drastically change your funding results through proper LLC setup. The thing is, most business owners think you could just set up an LLC, file the paperwork, pay the fee, walk into the banks, and they're just magically going to throw money at you. Unfortunately, that is not the case at all. So there's a massive difference between setting up a LLC casually and setting up a highly fundable LLC. The differences quite literally could be that $1 million of funding. That is a thing. So a highly fundable LLC is structured in the ways that signal to the banks that you are not high risk. You are low risk, in fact. So being low risk means you have a higher chance of succeeding. So you want to really position yourself as a low risk LLC, right? And the problem is 90% of LLCs out there are high risk, and it's why so many businesses do get denied for the funding that they need to grow and scale. So in this video, I'm going to break down exactly what makes a highly fundable LLC. Then I'm going to walk you through step by step how to create that highly fundable LLC, including the EIN setup. So very excited to dive in. And if you guys are serious about getting funding, please hit that subscribe button because you're about to learn something that most business owners do not know at all. So let's dive in. All right, first off, what is a highly fundable LLC? Let's dive into what that really even means. First off, it is an LLC with a vague name. We have some naming conventions here that we like to use for funding. So you don't want to pigeonhole yourself into an industry with your name. So for funding, we like to do XYV Enterprises, XYV Consulting. Those are our vague names. They don't really tell you what industry or tell the banks what industry that you are in. It's an agile name, okay? You're also going to be in a low risk business category. And I have some here. The low risk categories are generally consulting, marketing, e-com. Those will get you the most funding, guys. And think about it like this. Every business is a marketing business. A lot of our clients are real estate folks. And when they fix and flip a property, they need to advertise it to the market. So they're marketing it. When you are an Airbnb company, you are marketing your property on Airbnb. It is much different to go to a bank as a marketing company versus a real estate company. If you're going to the banks as a real estate company, they're going to say, this person has a lot of debt because they're buying all these properties and the real estate market goes up and down. So there's a lot of risk with real estate. There's a lot of risk with a lot of other business categories. The way I like to describe it is just think of how much debt that business has. So how much debt does a consulting company have? How much debt does marketing or e-com really have? Not a ton. So you want to really have a low risk business category. Additionally, what makes a highly fundable LLC is you don't currently have high business card balances. So when you want to go for funding, you want to have your balances below 30% at any bank. So what I'm describing here is the high business card balances, which is above 30%. So you're going to shoot for below 30% at any bank with any of your business cards for that LLC that you're going for funding for. Very, very important there. Additionally, you do not want to have any derogatories on that LLC for it to be highly fundable. So the first two are setups. The second two are really operational. You want to have a vague name. You want to have a low risk category. You don't want to have business card balances with that LLC. That's going to affect fundability. And then obviously you don't want to have any derogatories with that LLC. Let's keep going here. What is the point of having multiple highly fundable LLCs? This is the last thing I'm going to talk to you about, and then we're going to get into the actual setup, right? So having multiple LLCs is very important because there are secondary business bureaus. So secondary business bureaus, kind of what I was just talking about, will report your high business credit card balances to those bureaus. So they won't report to the personal credit profiles. So they're not going to report to Experian, Equifax, or TransUnion, but they're going to report to those secondary business bureaus, which banks pull, and they will see that LLC1 has a bunch of high business credit card balances. If that's your scenario, that's not the end of the world, but it's the point of what we're talking about here. It's very important that you set up multiple highly fundable LLCs so you remain fundable through a second or third or fourth LLC. When you have a second, third, or fourth LLC, you could continuously refresh your 0% credit cards at the banks that you're going. So let me just break this down. I live in Colorado. There are 90 0% business credit cards available to me at any given moment. They are only available per LLC. So let's say tomorrow I want to get funding, and obviously don't do this, but I could go for all 90 cards. For LLC1, I get that 0% promotion period for 6, 9, 12, 18 months, but I can't get them again with that first LLC. But if you have a second LLC just in your back pocket, in your toolbox for more funding, you could always tap in and say, you know what? I want to go for a whole nother round with a second LLC. So very important to have multiple LLCs because you could continuously refresh your 0% capital. All right, guys, this is talking about the age of an LLC. 2 years is really the gold standard for a different tier of funding. So you could get a lot of funding with a brand new LLC. We do it every single day. But once your LLC gets to be 2 years of age, it unlocks you for a whole nother tier of 0% business credit card approvals. It unlocks you for a bunch of business lines of credit opportunities. So you want to set up an LLC. You want to set up multiple LLCs so you can actually start seasoning them. And then lastly, there is a secondary market to sell your LLC. So it's actually, I know some people that's their business. They just buy up a bunch of LLCs and wait for them to season them and then turn around and sell them for thousands of dollars. The reason I bring that up to you is you can sell your LLCs on a secondary market. These are assets. So very interesting to know. Something that people don't think about is your LLC is an asset. If you do want to sell it, you could actually transfer it to somebody out of their name or out of your name into their name and expunge you of all future risk of that LLC if you do it appropriately. But these are incredible assets for your toolbox to get you a ton of funding. And if down the road you want to sell it, you could also do that as well. The last thing that I'm going to show you is how you can set up your LLCs. We use Northwest Registered Agents. They are fantastic. I'm going to pull up their site right now. All right, here we go, team. We're going to dive into the step-by-step breakdown of how you set up a highly fundable LLC for your business to make sure that you get maximum funding. So there is a link below in the description for Northwest Registered Agents. Please use that link. It helps us get credit. It helps us to create better content for you. So if you do want to set up an LLC, please use that link. Northwest Registered Agents are by far the best LLC setup company that I've ever worked with. I've done InkFile, I've done Prime, I've landed on Northwest Registered Agents. They are all US-based customer service. If you call that number on their contact us screen, you are going to get a person to answer right away. There's no phone system services that are holding anybody back or gatekeeping any of their information. They are fantastic. And on the screen, you're seeing it's $39. It is $39 to set up an LLC that also includes a year's worth of registered agent services. So to me, this price cannot be beat. So let's dive into it. I will be intermittently pausing the video to put in personal information, but let's go ahead and click Get Started to start up your LLC. All right, guys, so I'm going to click the Get Started button. I will be intermittently pausing to put personal information in, but let's get started. So we're going to click the Get Started button. First screen you're going to see here is form a new company. What business type would you like to start? We're going to go with LLC, guys. That's what the point of this video is. Other options are corporation or nonprofit. Those aren't as highly fundable as an LLC. Where would you like to form the business? I am in Colorado, so that's where I'm going to, do the example. But an important thing here, I strongly recommend to form the LLC in the state that you live. That is going to allow you to access all the banks in your state. A lot of people want to talk about doing Wyoming for anonymity. You can do that. I personally don't do that for my funding companies. So I would definitely recommend the state that you live in. Okay, so we have one option, business formation services for $50 for Colorado. There are cheaper options for different states, even potentially more expensive as well. But let's go into Colorado here. Base package, $39, 1 day processing. Let's move over to continue. So what would you like your business name to be? I covered those naming conventions, XYZ Consulting, or your initials. I would definitely recommend that. So RCL Consulting, RCL Marketing Consulting, that's what you want to go with the business because it's very vague. So send a copy of lawsuits and legal notices to your attorney. I put no, that's not really necessary. So you can click use generic business purpose, but I definitely want to dial in to that low risk category here, guys. So this is already pre-populated. The purpose of your business and organization includes, I would always put marketing consulting because that is, again, low risk category, doesn't carry a lot of debt. So we're going to put marketing consulting there. Physical address, want on record, I would do your mailing address. Mailing address where you want on record with the state, also your mailing address. When you go to apply for cards, they're going to ask mailing address. It's just a lot easier when your LLC has the same mailing address as your home address, right? Additionally, when you get cards sent to you, having your mailing address on file at the banks is very beneficial. So let's keep moving along. Next step is going to be talking about the management, right? So I had already filled all this out, so it is pre-populating for me. But we want to go with member managed, okay? And then you enter your first name and your last name, address to record with state. Again, I'm going to go with your mailing address and then keep it moving here. This is where you enter your personal contact information, first name, last name, phone number, country, mailing address. That is all very self-explanatory. I'm going to enter mine in, and then I will meet you on the next tab. Okay, guys, next tab, account. This is where you're setting up an account with Northwest Registered Agent. Very simple. Email, create a password. Another thing, they have a phenomenal portal where you can log in, see all your business docs. That's what this is going to be used for. All right, next tab is going to be business identity. All of this is optional. This is a Northwest Registered Agent upsell, and it's potentially having them set up a business domain for you, a website, email, phone number. You can add that if you want. I personally don't think that's necessary at all for funding, at least when you're talking around the 200K at 0% mark. You don't need any of this stuff, guys. That is a very common misconception that you need a website, a business website, a business email, business phone number. Not needed at all. But if you want to potentially go for more funding in the future, I'm talking business lines of credit, SBA loans, it is beneficial to have this stuff, but 0% business cards, for speed's sake, it's not important to have any of this set up. So this is where you pick and choose what services you want with Northwest Registered Agents. Next tab is going to be optional items, tax ID. So this is setting up the EIN for you. Northwest Registered Agents does that. I believe it's $50. Yep, it's an additional $50. You could do that through with them, but I'm actually going to show you how to do that on your own in right after this video. If you want to move to S Corp, you could do that. Premium mail service, trademark, DBA. Again, these are just upsells, not necessary, just to get out the door with the cheapest possible. And then we have it, guys. Payment information on the next screen, first name, last name, card, and then you are done. They're going to set up the LLC on your behalf. You're going to get a year's worth of registered agent services with them. They're going to upload your business formation documents in their portal with the username that you just set up. So I would just keep an eye on those. It does vary per state. As you see, Colorado here is 1 day. Some states are 4 to 5. Some states are a week, but usually the most I've ever seen is about a week that the actual state takes. So Northwest Registered Agents kind of like at their will there. But once I hit done, the order is placed and they're going to be setting up that brand new highly fundable LLC for you. So congratulations. You got the hard part done. As you can see on the screen, it's actually $89 because there is that 1-day processing with Colorado. There are states where they don't even have that fee, but very, very cheap to do and potentially can get you millions of dollars in funding. So let's go into the next portion where we talk about how we get an EIN number at the IRS. We talk about how we get an EIN number at the IRS. All right, guys, here we are. Very simple website to remember, irs.gov. This is where you're going to apply to get an EIN number. An EIN is really just your social security number for your business. Super, super simple process. Usually you get the EIN number at the end of this screen here. So we're going to walk through how all of this looks. I should have pointed out right here, apply for EIN number in the middle of the screen there. Then we're going to scroll down and then blue button, apply for EIN. A bunch of things to read definitely on your own to understand this process, but beginning the application now is where we want to go. Very simple. A lot of this is self-explanatory. Let me make myself a little bit bigger here. Okay. So what type of legal structure is applying for the EIN? What was the legal structure that you just set up? We know the answer to that. That's going to be the LLC. So we're going to click that. How many members are in the LLC, guys? You know, I would say this isn't the time and the place to get fancy with a bunch of different partnerships. A lot of times partnerships in the same LLC will delay funding processes. So I have always gone one of the number of members in the LLC, right? And where is it physically located? Again, I'm in Colorado. Do the state that you just set up. And then we've got a new drop down. What is the single member LLC requesting an EIN? What's the reason that you're applying for an EIN? So that's going to be what we just did, starting a new business. So let's continue on there. This is the identification portion. So social security number, first name, last name, your role. I'm going to move on without filling this out, but I do want to note that your role is obviously going to be the owners. So you're going to be filling that out as owners and your personal information. I will see you on the other screen. All right, I'm back. Next tab, addresses. Very simple. Address, you are physically located. Again, I use my mailing address for every LLC that I set up. State, zip code, phone number. Do you have a address different from the above where you want the mail to be sent? I would say no. Again, having your mailing address on file for the LLC, the IRS, and the banks just makes everything way easier. So you're not getting mail sent to different places and having to track it down. So I would say, no, you don't have a different address. This is where you want it to be sent. All right, last tab here, additional details. Let's walk through it one by one. Legal name. We know that. We just created the LLC. What was the name that you set up? DBA, you probably didn't set up a DBA because we just set it up. If you did, you would want to put that there. And then this is county, where you are located, state, confirming location. Again, what is the start date? So if you set it up today, you're going to put the date in which you set it up. Okay. A lot of these are just going to be no's that you're going to go through. If you are no, if they apply to you, put yes, but I'm sure they probably don't. Does your business own a motor vehicle with gross weight 55,000 pounds or more? No. Unless you're in trucking, put yes. Gambling, wagering? No. Does your business need to file Form 720? No. Does your business sell or manufacture alcohol, tobacco, firearms? No. Again, if you do those, put yes. You're not going to get a ton of funding, but I can't tell you to put no if you don't do that. Or if you do that, do you have or expected any employees receive W-2 in the next 12 months? Are you hiring a W-2 employee? Yes. If not, no, right? Pretty easy there. Okay, let's move on. All right, guys, last screen here before the review. What does your business or organization do? We're going to want to go and click other. We're clicking other and we're dialing into consulting, right? That is a low risk LLC setup, other consulting. Do you provide operating advances and assistance to business and organization? That is going to be a no. Please specify your primary business activity. That's when I put marketing. Again, every LLC, every company out there is participating in marketing activities. So clicking yes in consulting, no. So choosing consulting, clicking no, and specifying in marketing is going to give you the best results for funding. All right, we're at review and submit. The last question we have here is, how would you like to receive your EIN confirmation letter? I like to receive it digitally in the next step. So once you scroll down and confirm all your information, you click submit, you should get your EIN number, which you definitely need for applications, obviously. So now you have your EIN number and your letter. Download the letter, keep that to your files. You're going to need to show your EIN letter and then also your business docs that we just set up with Northwest Registered Agent for every one of your funding applications. So hopefully this video was helpful, guys. Go ahead and like and subscribe. That really drives the community. It gets me able to do more content for you. So please like and subscribe. I'll see you on the next one. Thanks.